Yeah, I mean, it is funny. I mean, like I think there is a funny thing going on where, like you could always say in the past, and you can sort of say it now that, you sort of get what you pay for, So if you're using like, like an Arri Alexa, then it's like, oh, there's a reason that camera costs as much money as it does, that the image quality is really high, has a huge capture range, like dynamic range. So if you suddenly say, oh my goodness, is it possible we can see out that bright window over there? And sure enough, you're going, yes, you can. There's lots of detail. Whereas if it's an iPhone or a DSLR or something, you might look at it and sort of go, sorry, that's all clipped and gone. You'll never get, you sort of have to like what you see when you shoot it. But what's getting funny now is these two things are actually, I think, starting to really sort of meet, where you start going, what is the actual advantage of the really expensive camera, and I guess it depends what you're doing, but in many ways it certainly liberates people. When your camera is so small, it makes a huge difference, right? It's you can get a lot more stuff done, and it's, if you got a good idea, but again, it always boils down to, you have to have great ideas.
So I've read somewhere where Roger Deakins says he asks for 8 weeks of prep for a film.
Yes. Well, it's like, I mean, the thing is, it's, that's the whole thing, is that it means that when you're able to do that, it just simply means that, like, they're really well prepared when they come to do these things. And I mean, I know that when that guy's shooting stuff, that it's, that it comes off very smoothly, I think, and it's due to his talent and experience, but it's also due to the fact that they've figured out a lot of the stuff ahead of time. They've kind of thought this out, I'm sure. And I know it's different when he's working with different directors and stuff, but they got to figure stuff out. And I mean, and something certainly like 1917, that's impossible to do something like that if you don't plan it properly. There's just no way you can put something like that together if like, I think, and so many people, I think, are unaware of that they would do things like, they would go out into a field and they would take the real actors and rehearse them and time a move. And then they would mark it and they would say, this is how long this trench is that the guys are going to walk through. Like, this is how you do it. Because if they guess, because normally they would just come to you and say, how long should this trench be? And you go, I don't know, 30 meters, 100 feet, 110 feet. I don't know, you make something up, right? But there it's like very accurate, they have a very good sense, and they give themselves, they really have thought it out and stuff like that. So I think that's very smart. Yeah. Well, Roger Deakins, he does a lot of smart things like that. And I certainly admire a lot of his approach to a lot of things, like even equipment. He's really interesting. He doesn't sort of fetishize different lenses and anamorphics and flares, and like he's got a very methodical approach about it, I think. And I really like his approach to things.
If you ever had the chance to choose between a digital format or a film format, what would you like to shoot with?
Digital or film? Well, interesting you to ask. I really love shooting digitally. I spent most of my career obviously shooting on film, but I really love shooting with digital cameras. And I find that there are still a few things that are really cool about film, where that would be, if that was what you were doing, that would be the right approach, and I would be very excited to do that. And I do worry when people sometimes say, well, we'll just shoot it digitally, then we'll make it look like that, or we'll make it look like Super 8 or whatever. It's like, well, why don't we just like shoot it on Super 8 and and then it is exactly what it is, So and there's certain circumstances, like, I mean, particularly like on films is one thing, on something like a commercial, or if it was a TV series that was with a really tight schedule and budget, you also run into the problem of the more stuff that you put off into post, there's also the danger that they might forget to do it and you're not around, or they run out of money, or they just don't care, or whatever. So a lot of the time, if you want something to look a certain way, the more that you can actually burn that in as it is and get it done at the time, sort of the better. But I'm definitely not somebody that has I have no sort of religiosity surrounding film. Like there's things about it that I like, but there's a lot of things about that bug me even still. And sometimes when I see something shot on film, I go, yeah, that's something I don't miss from film. Like there's certain looks you get from it sometimes, and with questionable lenses and stuff, and you sort of go, yeah, I don't like that look. It used to drive me crazy when my stuff I got stuck with
Oh,
things